Often you're working with SI units and metric multipliers, so if you didn't know what 4 centimeters was in meters, you could just look up centi as a metric multiplier of 10 to the minus 2, and then multiply 4 by 10 to the minus 2 to get 0.04 meters. Students often forget how to convert between square measurements or cube measurements. Luckily, there is a very similar methodical approach if you think about it differently. It's so simple, although I've never seen it explained like this. The first main concept is that mathematicians are lazy, so you may have seen this sine squared notation instead of sine 35, all squared. They like to reduce the amount of kind of brackets and indexes they have to write, and it's very similar in this case. 4 centimeters cubed is more correctly written 4 and centimeters all cubed, which is equal to 4 centi cubed meters cubed, which is equal to 4 times 10 to the minus 2 cubed meters cubed, which is equal to 4 times 10 to the minus 6 meters cubed. This forms the basis for the really quick method I use to convert between metric multipliers. Before I show you the shortcut, I'd like to show you how this method works. So let's say we need to convert from 0.8 meters squared to centimeters squared. Now first, we know better than to say centimeters squared, but rather centimeters all squared, or centi squared meters squared, which is equal to 10 to the minus 2 squared, or 10 to the minus 4 meters squared. Now the underlying concept for converting between units is that you can only really times by 1. You can't change the absolute value of the measurement. So if we need to accommodate a multiple of 10 to the minus 4, we also need to multiply it by 10 to the 4, so that they cancel out, and we are only really timesing by 1. And because we know 10 to the minus 4 is centimeters squared, we're left with 0.8 times 10 to the 4 centimeters squared, which is equal to 8,000 centimeters squared. Now I'll show you the shortcut. So using the same example, convert 0.8 meters squared to centimeters squared. So first, find the difference between the units. So on the right side we have a multiple of c squared, and on the left side, c squared or centi squared is 10 to the minus 4, so there's an order of 10 to the 4 difference. And second, figure out if you need to multiply or divide by this. And because we're going from a larger unit and expressing that in smaller units, it will be a larger number, so we're going to times by 10 to the 4. And 0.8 times 10 to the 4 is the 8,000 centimeters squared answer we got earlier. Now another example, convert 5 square millimeters to square micrometers. Now first of all, we can look up milli and micro in the data booklet and see that milli is 10 to the minus 3 and micro is 10 to the minus 6. So there is a 10 to the 3 order of difference between them, and we square that because we're working with square units, so a 10 to the 6 difference between them, and we're going to times by 10 to the 6 because we're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, and therefore the answer is 5 times 10 to the 6 micrometers squared. Here are some practice questions. Convert 0.0067 kilograms to milligrams and convert 4,500 millimeters cubed to centimeters cubed. Pause the video, try the examples, come back for the answers. So for the first one, we find the difference between kilo, 10 to the 3, and milli, 10 to the minus 3, which is an order of 10 to the 6. So we times by 10 to the 6, and we are left with 6.7 times 10 to the 3 milligrams. And for the second one, we find the difference between milli, 10 to the minus 3, and centi, 10 to the minus 2, which is an order of 10 difference. And we cube that because we're working with cube units. We're going to divide with this one because we're going from a smaller to a larger unit, and therefore we will be left with 4.5 centimeters cubed. Now 1 litre to centimeters cubed. So I found this quite useful in topic 8 to remember the litre in terms of centimeters cubed as 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters times 10 centimeters, or 1,000 centimeters cubed. Knowing this, try and convert 4,700 millimeters cubed to litres. And then after you've done that, try and convert 40 kilometers an hour to meters per second. Now you find that you've reached the limits of this method. We're no longer just working with the same base unit and then changing it with different metric prefixes. We're actually needing conversion factors. And with this, we need a new, more robust method. So knowing that 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed, how might we convert 4,700 millimetres cubed to litres? Well, first of all, you might say we should convert the millimetres cubed to centimetres cubed. And we can do this with our first method. So we know the difference between milli and centi is an order of 10, and we cube that because we're working with cube units. So if we divide 4,700 by 10 to the 3, we're left with 4.7 centimetres cubed. Now with the conversion factor 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed, we need to convert 4.7 centimetres cubed to litres. You might try to do something like this. With the conversion factor 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed, we divide by 1,000 on both sides to be left with 1 centimetres cubed is equal to 1 over 1,000 litres, and times by 4.7 on both sides to be left with 4.7 centimetres cubed is equal to 4.7 over 1,000 litres, or 0.0047 litres. However, this would be so much quicker with the concept of dimensional analysis, and I'm going to show you how this second method works. So with any conversion factor such as 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed, we can write that as a fraction, so 1 litre over 1,000 centimetres cubed. And that will always be equal to 1 because the numerator is equal to the denominator. 1 litre is equal to 1,000 centimetres cubed. And we can do this with any conversion. 1 kilometre is equal to 1,000 metres, or 1 kilometre over 1,000 metres is equal to 1. We can do this with 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes, 1 hour over 60 minutes is equal to 1, and so forth. And of course we can flip this whichever way we like, and it will always equal 1. Just as we can multiply 4.7 centimetres cubed by 1, we can multiply by the conversion factor 1 litre over 1,000 centimetres cubed. Cancel out the centimetres cubed and be left with 4.7 over 1,000 litres, or 0.0047 litres. In this way, units can be treated entirely algebraically. Although it might take some time to master, this way of dimensional analysis is really versatile and compact in your working. This is exemplified in converting from kilometres an hour to metres per second, and I borrowed this example from Chris Stoner's video on dimensional analysis, which I'll put the link in the description. So if we have 40 kilometres per hour, we're going to be left with metres on the numerator, and we want to cancel the kilometres on the numerator, and therefore we will use the conversion factor 1,000 metres is equal to 1 kilometre. And we want to cancel out the hours and replace it with seconds. However, we'll start with minutes, with 1 hour is 60 minutes, and then we'll times it by 1 minute over 60 seconds to cancel the minutes and be left with seconds. And therefore, we get 11 metres per second.